Yeah, I do think, like, if there is an angle, like, maybe this Dolphins offense can score some points
Hmm.
against this Bills defense because, like you said, they are missing some pieces here. And they haven't been the most solid defense. It's just been a matter of, hey, Josh Allen's going to score like 40 points, so it doesn't really matter. But I don't think that the Dolphins offense can keep up with the Bills offense. So, like, that's the thing for me. Like, maybe you take a look at the over, but for me, I do think that we're going to get a heavy target share for some of those speed guys tonight.
Yeah.
So I think you look at the world of props and you say, okay, look at the numbers for Tyreek Hill and Devon Achane, because I always think this is a solid starting off point for a team in what could be a blowout matchup,
Hmm.
where you say, okay, who's going to be on the quote unquote losing side? And so they're going to be playing catch up and they're going to get a lot of reps. Like even in garbage time, like this is when props, can be turned into winners. So I think Devon Achane is a good look tonight. I looked at his rushing and receiving though. It's 96.5, which is pretty high, but he's gone over this number. Last game had a monster game when it came to both rushing and receiving, had 30 yards rushing, 92 receiving. And so I think if you're picking one of those, I think I'm going to go with receiving here. He had 10 targets last time around against the
Yeah.
Patriots, 92 yards. And so his number today is 37.5 for minus 140. I feel like that is a very gettable number. And especially on these short weeks, the short and dumpy passes to running backs,
Hmm.
especially when you're a quarterback, like the narrative on Tua is that like he's not very good past his first read. So, like, it feels like a perfect situation to play a running back receiving prop. And especially when Devon Achane is probably the best player on this team, I feel like it makes a lot of sense as a receiving prop.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to be on Tyreek Hill's. I don't know if I want to go over his reception number or his receiving prop yardage. I can't decide. But I think ultimately this is going to be a game. It's almost like a prove it game for Tyreek Hill because he wants
Mm-hmm.
to get out of Miami, right? Like, I think he's essentially auditioning for the Chiefs because the Chiefs need the help. We keep hearing the rumblings that the Chiefs are looking at him, and also he doesn't want to be there. So I think that Tyreek Hill will do his best to, put on a show tonight. And again, you're talking about a guy who has a ton of speed against the Bills defense that isn't necessarily the fastest defense in the NFL. I think we're going to see a high-scoring game. And also, when I see that Buffalo is such a large favorite, like, can't you see Buffalo jumping out to a big lead in this game and the Dolphins have to pass their way back into it, which means more targets, which means more yardage for Achane or Tyreek Hill. So I think both of those guys are good plays.
Yeah. Okay. So let's look at receptions versus receiving yards for Tyreek Hill because I went
Hmm.
down this road for a second as well. So 5.5 is the number for receptions. You see over at minus 118. Receiving yards is set at 64.5. So personally, I like to go with yards sometimes because it feels like they can clear them if they have one big play. So for
Yeah.
really electric receivers, if they are, prone to having that longest reception, like last week, Tyreek Hill had a 47-yard catch and he had 109 yards receiving. So as far as the catches go, he's been at 4 and 6. So this number is like right in between that almost.
Yeah.
So I kind of like taking the play that has like, I don't know, more potential for it to hit in the first half. Because Jenks, isn't that the best feeling when a
Oh,
prop
yeah.
hits in the first half of a game? So I think he has the high end potential here. And plus, again, this Bills defense isn't the toughest of matchups. Like
Hmm.
maybe it's easy for us to sit here and say, oh, the Bills defense is bad. But like also they did play the Ravens in one of those games. So like the Ravens are a very difficult offense to stop. And like the Dolphins are nowhere that level. And I will say this sabotage factor is that Tua could absolutely turn into a pumpkin. And we saw this in the first game of the season. He only had
Yeah.
114 like passing yards. So I think that can be tricky when you trust receivers that have untrustworthy quarterbacks. But I do think Devon Achane and Tyreek Hill are like the top two guys I'm looking at in this one.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think either one you can go with. And I agree with you when you talk about going yardage, receiving yardage versus catches, just because, especially when we talk about a speed guy, you could have 3
Yeah.
catches and hit the number, right? Especially tonight. I think we see a
Mm.
lot of Tyreek Hill in the flat, just trying to get him open in space and let him go. So you could have 5 catches and not hit the receptions prop, but then he takes those to the house or takes those for long gains and you hit the yardage prop. So I'm going to be on that.
Yeah, and I know we're running out of time, but as far as the Bill side, if you're expecting a blowout, obviously you look at the running back for the team you expect to be winning. So James Cook fits that bill. Also, the Dolphins are giving up the most fantasy points to opposing running backs through 2 weeks. So James Cook should be a good look tonight as well.